Welcome. We have a whole party today. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. Yes, thank you, Aaron. Got a wave there. Well, hey, Robbie. Yes, awesome. We're all here. We got Robbie, Aaron, Holly, and Jason. Thanks for taking the time to meet and connect in this way. Just for our audience, we've got Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities representing today. Holly, you and I have been connecting and partnering for a long time, even before you got to DODD, and I've always really admired you and your work, and I'm really curious about the Wellness Project. And when I asked you to come on today, you said, hey, what about a crew, right? So we're lucky enough to have multiple voices today for this session. So I'm really pumped. But let me just do some introduction. So Holly is Northwest Regional Liaison with the department. Jason is Trauma-Informed Administrator for Ohio DODD. Robbie is a Trauma-Informed Care Speaker and Co-Facilitator. And Aaron, you're a Residential Care Supervisor at SODC. So Southwest Ohio Developmental Center. We'll get into the acronyms, okay? But just that's kind of who we are. And I'm really pumped about this conversation because I think there are a lot of really cool things happening around the state. And I'm happy just to hear more about it and share it with the folks we've been walking with. So Holly, you're a wellness person, and that's like the little tiny bit I know. And I've asked you kind of in other sessions, like, tell me a little bit more about that. But I'm really curious, how did you get passionate about wellness work just in your life? And then what drove you to create the Wellness Project with the department? And maybe you can share a little bit about the actual project.
So probably like everybody who works in a social service industry, I wanted to help people. I've always had that as my background. My passion is to help others. My role as a state worker for the department is that I get to help the helpers. So it's really nice that we have these tools. And what we wanted to do with the Wellness Project is share the creativity, the ideas, the initiatives that are happening across the state at various state agencies and community agencies, and have a platform where we can share these resources, because it's the helpers, it's the direct support professionals, the therapeutic program workers who are there every day, showing up, giving all of themselves, communicating not just through words, but through actions and their presence. And so, I mean, myself, I have the utmost respect for the work that they're doing. So I wanted to find a way that we could bring these tools, and in a collaborative way and in an approachable way, that anyone could have access to resources to enhance your wellness and build your resilience. So bringing that persistence that I have, as well as the support from my colleagues, we created a web page. And it's accessible to anyone. So we keep building these tools and promoting it so that the people that are there caring for others, whether you're doing that in a home or in a facility or an organization or community, that you can go to these resources to sort of refuel yourself, because you have to be that calm in sometimes the chaotic environments.
Yeah, amen. I can even tell just by your sharing, I can hear the passion. But just outside of your job, how did that become? I know that the passion of caring for folks is there, but why breathing? Why meditation? Why yoga? Because I think when you look at it's basically a YouTube series that people can access. You really drop into another role, right? You're not an administrator in that. You're not a liaison in that. You're really a facilitator of well-being. Where did that come from for you? Just kind of in your life.
Yeah, so in the early 2000s, I was in my 20s, and I was searching for, again, a way that I could connect with people and with myself and go a little bit deeper. And sometimes you don't know what that means. And so I sort of stumbled into yoga. It found me more than I found it. And it really started to change my personal presence, the way I held myself, the way I felt confident, and the way I would just show up for other people. So I wanted to bring that traditional yoga in all of its essence into the mental health treatment world, because we are not mind/body. We are an integrated being, and that's how we live. We live in these bodies, we breathe. So taking a moment to be at home with yourself then allows you to be more authentic when you're engaging with others. So it's just taken a little bit of time. I think timing is everything. And I think with all the new research around the nervous system, people are a little more open or accepting to hearing about, oh yeah, my mind and body do communicate with each other. So how can I use my body as a source of wellness and self-care? It's free, it's accessible, it's always with you. So how can I make these practices easeful and approachable for someone who might have thought yoga was for, you know, the super flexible or the young or the whatever. It's for everyone. We all have a body, we all breathe. So I really just wanted to bridge that, what I saw as a gap between traditional forms of mental health treatment like talk therapy and the wellness idea that we all can be well, and it takes different forms and it can be approachable.
Yeah. I love it. I feel like I could just keep listening to you talk, really, Holly. There's a couple of things you said that I feel like are probably going to be a theme for all of us. One, I didn't find yoga, it found me, right? And we're going to get to Robbie and Aaron in a minute. I think y'all found each other in a way. And Jason, I even think it sounds like your role, right, really found you. And how do we really bolster our trauma-informed care network, you know, statewide? But I just appreciate not only that you brought your passion to that, Holly, but that the emphasis is on the caregiver, the supporters, but then just accessibility is the bottom line. How can we take this out of this is for those people over there, or woo woo, right? This is wellness. And I love you said, we all have a body. It's true. Sometimes we forget, right? So it comes with us wherever we go. And very easily, and we'll link to it, of course, in our newsletter. People can go on the department's website and find multiple videos where you get to hold space. People can enjoy this in their living room, at their homes. They can, I imagine they could play for a group, even if they want to say, hey, let's have these wellness checkpoints as a pattern or a ritual with our team meetings, or how we start our day or end our day. So thank you. Thanks for offering that and continuing to be a champion for that specific work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I know there's more to Holly than just that, but I kind of want to weave over here to Jason. I joked as I was trying to plan for this, like, you're in a new role because, you know, COVID happens and a decade goes by, and what is time? What is life? But it's not that new, right? You've been in this role as a trauma-informed administrator. What does that mean for you? And what have you seen that feels like a real big lift or highlight, or gives you a lot of hope in the work? And maybe where do you see challenge, and where does, and I'm kind of famous for too many questions at once, so I'll weave them back in if I need. But what's that like for you, the give and take about that work and the bigness that you're up against?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, thank you for the invitation to Robbie. We appreciate you. We appreciate your willingness and openness to give him a face and a voice. And I think he's testimony to where we started this journey in 2019. Is we have all said as trauma champions, there's 107 of us across the DCs. And, you know, we only have 1,600 employees. I say only, but, you know, and we're getting ready to onboard another 50 this year. So 10% of our employees will be trauma champions and part of the family of champions. And so I think from a cultural standpoint, we're heading to the point where it's just who we are.
Yeah, and, beautiful.
And if you're not a trauma champion, I think you're going to stick out a little more. Versus that's how we operate. That's how we treat people. That's how we treat one another. That's how we treat the people we serve. It is who we are. And if you're interested in onboarding with us and being a part of that, come join us. If not, we may not be the place that you want to land, right? But circling back to Robbie, we have said since day one, we will know that we have made progress and the people we serve are doing the work. And so Robbie is testimony of that. Safely naming locations. At a Gallipolis location, a young lady has led us in grounding. A young man has connected with Robbie at another developmental center in Mount Vernon. They had a shared experience, and he wanted to be like Robbie. So look, I mean, even like that peer-to-peer modeling is happening within people having similar lived experiences, right? I mean, that's what I will tell you is the most rewarding, and that's about the people we serve.
Yeah, sure.
Amongst the staff, I think it's I think the most powerful thing that I hear across the board, it's been life changing for me personally and professionally. You hear that from people now. I don't know that people 3 years ago would have openly shared safely, man, it's made a difference in my relationship at home with my kids, made a difference with my husband, my wife, partner, who, whatever that role is, my family dynamics, right? Oh, I was the rescuer. I had to get off of being the rescuer of my family, and I need to be a coach, right?
There you go. Yeah.
I need to be a coach. I need to empower them, right? So I think those are the two things that resonate with me about the experience and the journey. And you said it so eloquently, but or you said it in passing, but it's significant. We even had to pause during COVID, and we still have made that progress. I think people, you know, when you're talking about large ICFs, you're talking about, we were worried about the health and safety of people, saving their lives. And in that, we still made progress. After it, we have come out and continued the momentum and progress, right? We could have easily said, COVID wore us all out. Like, I'm done with trauma-informed care, right? We could have done that. I don't think that we've done that at all, to be honest with you. So,
I think out of the head and into the heart is what I'm seeing. I think that was what I'm hearing from you too, Holly, that we can't just talk people into self-care. We have to be about it, right? So we give ways and opportunities, experiences to embody these practices. But Jason, when you're talking about the impact, right? It's not just about this cognitive or a higher level idea or ideology. It really is, how do we really support all human beings within our network to not just have information, but have experiences that really start to shift culture. And that's one of the things when I just the thought just like went way out the window, but I'll grab it here in a minute.
That's okay.
Yeah, I know. It's a casual conversation. There's something you just shared about the people in our system, the staff and the participants. They could have gone through the COVID era and been in this burnout space, shut down. I'm over it. I think we have no choice but to be trauma informed when we've just gone through this collective trauma. So I think it's admirable that you guys stepped up to that plate and you just really use it as its own opportunity. How do we not just take our eye off this North Star, right? How do we really lean in even more, harder and more diligently? Because trauma informed isn't some newfangled idea. It really is a way of being so that we can uplift the full health, safety, and meaningful lives of all people that we're engaged with, staff, support people, et cetera. So
if I may, right? COVID, we talked and educate people about, and you know this, everybody on this call knows it. It put us all in a forced submit. That's how we kind of get people to connect it. The things you need, connection, human contact, those kind of things. You're leaving groceries on somebody's steps. You're doing virtual relationships. We got choice. We can come out of that unsafe. We can come out of that submit unsafely, or we can come out of it safely. I think what we've invited people to do is to come out of it safely. These are the things to consider. How do you land all that, right? Somebody just shared, I'm going to share one story and hopefully I can share it and still remain a vault. But they said, I see trauma-informed care post-COVID as, I think it's humorous too. I see trauma-informed care post-COVID as I have two options. I can safely flock over here with the trauma champions, or I can go flock with the bartender at my local bar.
Amen. Right? Yeah. It's true.
And you take into that context what that means. I took it as I'd rather safely flock over here than I would go there. Unsafely flock for my own well-being, physically and mentally.
And we know that no connection is worse off than unsafe connection. So yes, I'm gonna meet my connection needs no matter what. How can we do that in a safe and supported way, right? And I think we're kind of like planting the seed, the crumbles to get over here to Robbie and Aaron to talk. But Jason, I think that a good segue is no one had to explain to people with disabilities or families of folks who love folks with disabilities about the impact of social isolation, right? We've been trying to get that message out over and over and over, right? Well, then COVID happens, and then every human being has that felt sense of what the hell? where are my people? Who am I? Where do I belong? But Robbie, I'm coming over to you, sir, because you are not immune to the experience of social isolation, right? You're not immune to that experience. And I think that one thing, I just got to meet you and Aaron a couple weeks ago, and I want to talk to both y'all about your story, because I know you have some shared experiences that have connected your bond. But what has, again, multi-part question, you have become passionate about trauma-informed care as a recipient of people in your life learning new ways of being and connecting you in different ways. But now you've been someone who speaks about it yourself. So maybe we can just back up a little bit, share who you are a little bit, right? A little bit who you are, and how did you personally become passionate about what could feel like a buzzword, trauma-informed care?
So Robbie Schmidt, I'm hit you, and I came to trauma-informed care to help other people, like people in jail, people out of a DD, people at the hospital, everyone will help people.
You and I speak the same language. This isn't just about one person or one group. This is a human experience, right? We, as a society, we need to become trauma-informed, trauma-responsive. So you see that dot connect. What has it meant for you, Robbie, for the people who are in a caregiving or supportive role to become trauma-informed themselves? How has that changed your actual life?
Well, it changed my life because because it helped me. It caused me be a special person. It caused me be a better person.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna put a word in your mouth. You said it caused me to be a special person. My hypothesis is you've probably been seen and heard in a new way.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so to feel meaningful, to feel like your needs matter and you're seen and heard, I am 100% sure is everyone's intention who's probably ever spent time with you, right? We all have big hearts, but sometimes we don't, our impact doesn't meet our intention because of what we're up against or what's even emphasized, I think, in our training, right? Sometimes I look at the training onboarding for support staff, and it's bloodborne pathogens and Medicaid billing and behavior management, all these things. And the last thing is connection, right? Well, we have to redo that job description sometimes. What are we emphasizing? So if trauma-informed care, if that's what is people, if that's going to be the emphasis, now we see the emphasis for the person who's receiving that connection, they're safe, seen, and heard on the other end of that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Robbie, I want to ask a little bit about what does it mean for you to be a speaker and what are some things you're passionate about speaking about. But first, let me jump over to Aaron, because I know, yeah, is that okay? Give Aaron a moment here to check in. Yeah. So Aaron, first of all, you're just kind of a goofball. I see, right? You laugh, you giggle, you know, you're a fun guy, but you don't come from a goofball background. Okay,
No.
you are in this role. So just give me a little background about who are you and why is this role or how is this role different than what you've been up to before?
Sure. So been around a long time. Don't say a word, Robbie. Older than I think I am in my own head. But I grew up in an alcoholic family, which posed trauma for me, which you handle, like you store or stash. Did that, and then went into the military, went to Panama, and then spent the rest of my adult life as a police officer. All kinds of different roles. And then one day, lightning struck and said, hey, you've accumulated all of these experiences and you've paid a big price. And I took some time off, and one of my sons, we were throwing football. He said, Dad, you're better now than you've been since I've been alive. Don't go back.
Wow.
Yeah. So I kind of started looking for other ways to serve. I ended up coming to SODC to look into being a police officer. And when they interviewed me, they said, hey, we've got this trauma informed care that we're working on. We've got things like de-escalation, leadership. Would you consider being a supervisor? We think we could use you. And that resonated with me. And one of the reasons it resonated was when I went to therapy for myself, they talked about post-traumatic stress, but I felt like it was like, God bless you, that's who you are now.
Yeah.
And so I was really intrigued when I heard about trauma-informed care, because it talked about resiliency, it talked about neuroplasticity and those things, that ability to rise above. So that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, beautiful. And goofball might not have been the word, but you're just always so smiley. Okay, yeah.
I'm much more at ease now, and I can feel that. Like there's a lot of work to be done. I think that'll never end, probably. But I found happiness, and that happiness is I've been able to help people achieve what I could see inside them, and that really has made a difference for me.
You're the reason Holly's so passionate about her work, pouring into folks, right? And there's real outcomes from that.
We love you, Holly.
Rob. Oh, go. Yeah, love. Robbie, you had mentioned you wanted to share just a little bit about your personal history as well. We heard kind of a tidbit about Aaron's, but you can share as little as much as you like, but maybe about your past and some of the things you feel like you've been up against, but you've overcome.
Yeah. So my first story is I went to a neighbor house back in 2009. I thought he was my friend. I trusted him. Then it came to the point he did something he not posted to do.
Yeah.
And then my second multiple 911 call. What will happen with that? I called it to get help. They said, "Oh, you should stop calling because we don't have time for you." Yeah, I said, I don't understand why you don't have time for me. It's by law, you have to respond. When somebody call, they said, "Oh, you're the good boy, cry wolf."
Yeah. How did that make you feel when you heard that?
It made me feel anxiety, feel depressed.
Yeah.
They said I think you should arrest him for multiple 911 calls. Cause I kind of stop that from happening.
Yeah. And so I have like a million thoughts and questions, but I'll slow myself down. Robbie, you said you eventually stopped that, right? So when we can talk about it, but what helped you shift? What helped you not need that as its own, as Jason said, blocking mechanism anymore?
Well, so I found out it's anxiety going on. It's called a mental health heart attack.
Okay, yeah.
It's a mental health heart attack. It's making you feel like you're having a heart attack, but you're not having one. You just having a mental health heart attack. Anxiety.
So it sounds like, and you can connect these dots for me, but you started to experience stress, anxiety. It sounds like you didn't just have the one incident with the neighbor in 2009. You had some challenges you've been up against, but you had, from what I'm understanding, you were kept trying for safe connection. Who can I trust? I want to trust. I want to be there. But then over time, you're not in those trusting relationships. You're not in those safe relationships. And what it created for you was that body-based feeling, depression, anxiety. And was Aaron a part of the shift from that overwhelm into healing, or were you all? Okay, yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that. He could have just come on after you already had grown, and now you're showing him the ropes.
So when I first came here back in 2020, that's when I first met him. So we formed a boys club.
Okay.
We formed a boys club. All right. I said, Aaron, I want to tell you something. He said, "Well," I said, "I want to form a boys club. I like you. You easy going. I like to form a boys club with you." Yeah.
Again, a goofball. You saw it immediately when you met him, right?
Yeah.
Robbie, it sounds like, again, we're getting a teeny tiny bit of your story, but you've been up against a lot, but it sounds like you're kind of hungry for knowledge. You're a learner. And so when you first started to hear about trauma-informed care, were you told about it, or was Aaron being about it? And you were like, what the hell? How, this is different. You know, what was that kind of awareness of this is something new?
I've been told about it for the first time.
Okay.
That's why I've been going to see new staff members, teach them all that.
Yeah.
Sarah,
just helping people.
Yeah.
Helping
Yeah.
people understand.
Sarah, can I ask?
Jason's gonna offer something. Yeah.
Yeah, Robbie, when you think about learning the work and then modeling the work for others, staff, people, your peers, people important to you in your life, what are some things that you do for yourself to help you feel safe, attach, and regulate?
Oh, I got one. She taught me do some breathing, Bobby breathing.
Yeah, so
we're gonna close out on that one, Robbie. Not right now, but I'm so glad you remembered that. But Jason, first of all, I should give you the mic for this interview because that was beautiful. Well put. To feel safe in your body and to feel regulated. Robbie, you said breathing. So there's those body-based practices that Holly was talking about. But I'm also hearing knowledge is power. You have new information now. And so Aaron, maybe you can even lift up this story about the what you guys shared about the empowerment triangle and the trauma triangle. That's the work of Sandra Bloom. But that really got me in the guts when you shared that. So could you explain now what that interaction was?
Give me a fist bump so I can go for it. Okay, yeah. So one of the challenges early on was that I wasn't understanding Robbie. And Robbie was speaking from a very trauma-informed perspective. And he was really waiting for me to catch up. And it took me a long time to understand that. And once I did, because he was saying words that to me meant something else. Power. I want power. I want control in my life. And we would go out and we would talk in depth about what those things meant. And it took us a very long time to start to unpack that. But one of the things initially I'm a trauma champion at SODC. And one of the things in my journey was I resonated with the trauma triangle because I realized that throughout my whole life, even the career I chose, you know, when you talk perpetrator and you talk victim and rescuer, I even chose a career where I could have all of those every day. Yeah. And so it really hit me. Like it hit me enough that I had to put it away for a little while and then bring it back. So once I kind of sat with it for a while and in personal life, who I was choosing to date would show up on that triangle, why I was failing in that showed up on that triangle. Like there was so much there. And then Robbie and I started talking about it because again, you said this earlier, once you see some of these things, you can't unsee it. It becomes a part of. And we were talking about that control, that mechanism of I want control in my life. And I remember early on in his plan, it was written that he would get a lot of anxiety on phone calls with his mother. And in his plan, it said that I would step in and say, all right, we're done with this conversation and move on. And when he and I talked, I said, buddy, I can't do that. And he said, why? And I said, because my role, when you leave me, my role is that when you leave me, you have the skills to do this yourself. You have that, and I'm going to coach you to get you there. I had a coach that stepped into my life and really changed my world when I was a young lad, and I've never forgotten that. And so when all that resonated, he and I started working through that, and we used it as a perspective tool. So whenever he would have something, we did it earlier today. I hadn't seen him in a little while when we talked. We started categorizing what did I see that as, or where in the trauma triangle did I work from, and where should I have been on the empowerment triangle?
Wow!
And so that concept for him was very powerful. And once he realized that he could be his own creator, then he started taking more and more. And it was really there was a day where someone did something. I'll never forget it. We had just been working through that. You can be the creator of your own life. They did something on a walk. We were just walking, and out of nowhere, he was always so quiet. Out of nowhere, he said, I don't like that. Stop. And I'll never forget that day, because every day after that, he kind of started taking more and more control, to the point where, tell him the story about coming in and calling me out. Remember that? You love that story.
Yeah. So I went to the office that time. time because I didn't like stuff in my plan. So I called in with Al. I said, I need something else in my plan. He said, why don't you like this? I said, because I disagree with this. I kind of want something else in my plan. All that. So after that, we got there.
So even in our relationship, he would come in and say that. If I would say something challenging, he'd say, I could see him start to get upset. And then he'd look at me and go, you're being a challenger right now. And I'd say, exactly, because I care about you. I'm challenging you to look at it a different way. So it was really neat. And he did the same to me. He'd say, Aaron, I'm going to challenge you about my plan.
Well, that's what I remember, Robbie, when you first told the story. You walked in and you said, hey, I'm going to be a challenger for a moment. And I think even that, when we have a shared language, we start to create a shared reality. And I think that's one of the things that we know with trauma-informed care. Of course, the question is not what's wrong with you, but what happened. We're not always working on a shared reality, right? People come into care in a time of crisis or pain or hurt, and we sometimes can get distracted by what we're seeing, some symptomology. When we take time to slow down and understand history and context, we start to create that connection in a new, meaningful way. So I think you guys are a great example of that. Robbie, I really admire how you've not only embraced the practices and now you share it with other people, but you're able to have a mutually enhancing relationship with Aaron. And I think that's always what I'm trying to uplift. Not just let's find positive people to receive. How can we also give in that role? So that's I see a lot of that give and take with you guys. So thank you for sharing it. Even just a tiny bit of the story. I know we could talk for 1,000 more hours, but before Robbie, if I'm going to ask you to regulate us out of our conversation here in a minute. But Holly, I'd be curious, what's the future? I'm going to ask Jason, what's the future of trauma-informed care in our community? But what's the future of wellness and the continued work of pouring into, like you said, care for the caregiver? What's on the horizon?
So I think we've touched on a lot of it. It is that combination of bringing information, resources, tools, information is power, along with the experience, because people might forget some of that information, or we might have to repeat it a lot before it really sinks in. But once you have an experience within you, that's what you can come back to. So in our Wellness Project webpage, we're trying to provide that experiential lens. So we've added a new tab called Connect, and that's for peer support. So we're still building it, but we all need these connections. And so it might look different depending on who you are, where you sit, what your role is. But there are so many peer support groups out there. So we want to build that network so people can understand and remember that you're not alone, and that someone else is probably there to walk with you, not before you, not after you, but with you. Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Well put. Of course, we'll link to it, but we'll look for that developing as well. So thanks, Holly. Jason, you dropped the C-bomb, culture shift, and we know a mentor of mine used to say it's like turning around a barge, right? This is long haul work, right? This is big. What's on the horizon? I guess I would say, what's on the horizon?
It's funny, your analogy is the barge. Mine is it's not the sprint, it's the marathon.
Yeah,
experience in running and those kind of things. I think it's really, I would share, we often talk about our messaging, right? So I think progress has been seen in one of the most fundamental things that we could have done for the people we serve and our staff as a wise practice was incorporating trauma-informed biographical timelines as where we start, right? With a person served and with our teams. And we know that has created empathy for the people we serve. We know that has given people pause to now think about what happened to me. And if I take pause and think about what happened to me, I think about what they have survived. And then I think about, oh my gosh, they're still on this earth. Like how resilient they are, that they've overcome those things. And mine doesn't look like that. my time like that. I have some similar shared experience, but oh my gosh, look what Robbie's overcome. And he's still, look at him. He lights up a room, right?
Yeah.
He powers over you and tells you you got to get him a gift card, right? I mean,
Yes.
and Sarah, even in that though, we could power over him and go, I don't owe you nothing.
Yeah.
But what trauma-informed care says, you're right, brother. I owe you an Applebee's gift card, and I'll probably owe you that for the rest of my life. So
Yeah.
Right. So I think those come out. I think the thing is that at Holly, Aaron, our trauma champions, all of the staff and our DCs, they've been doing the work. They just didn't have the invitation to do it under an initiative under an umbrella that was consistently moving forward. Now I'm not an outlier because I like trauma-informed care. It's the family over here of folks that think like me, that want like me, want what's best for the people we serve. Oh, I want to join that group. Right. I'm not going to be, we know trauma, right? I'm not going to be shamed and humiliated for being a trauma champion. There's 150 plus of them soon to be this year. I'm part of a larger initiative. Movement. Movement. Yeah. And I think I'll leave that with, and under our current deputy director, Sarah Lawson, like she believes in it. So she expects us to continue to move forward. She's investing in us moving forward since she's taken over that role. So I think that's what the future looks like, right? I think like for folks, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and I think it's equally profound to say what's on the horizon. We keep on keeping on, right? We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We don't have to come up with some newfangled thing. We have to keep steady, stay the course, and keep deepening our work with one another. So and
we don't force people. It's an invitation. It's an invitation. Aaron says this all the time, right? I had to get right with myself. I too had to get right with myself, right? Before I could even think about doing the work and moving forward. And so we don't go force people. We just invite people and say, hey, it's not the fix, but it might make a difference though. It can be life-changing when we change our paradigm and when we do it together, right? We've all said it, when we're no longer alone in this big work. So awesome. I feel like I could just chitter chat all day. Robbie, I want a beer. I've been thinking about it the whole time and it's only 10 a.m. You got your shirt, but what I would, because we're all helping people, because we all are pouring into folks all day long, Robbie, why don't you lead us through our own pause so we can regulate before we head out into the rest of our day. Welcome back. Robbie, I missed in our first interview that you actually have your own style of regulating breathing. So I cut out our last one, and I just want to bring you here today to help our audience, help folks so we connect with, to learn how you breathe and how you regulate yourself. So first, go ahead and tell us about your practice.
So this is my practice. You put your hands up, you put them on the lap, you cross your legs, and you breathe.
All right.
And cut.
All right. Nice. I feel, well, I'll tell you what, my mind started racing at first, but then I started to really calm.
Yeah.
Nice. Tell me how that works for you. Why do you choose to do palms up?
It's because it helps the blood flow, regulate bowel.
Nice. And when your blood's regulating and flowing better, how does that make you feel?
It make my body feel good. All that make my blood pressure feel good.
Nice. So just a little bit more grounded. I can feel it. I can feel my heart. Yeah. Cool. Well, awesome. Thank you. Thanks for coming back on and sharing that with us. I hope to see you again soon, and maybe we can just do a virtual high five to close this off.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Robbie.
You're welcome. Peace.
Peace.